If you have an introverted personality, then this is the right place. Let's see some inspirational quotes for this type of personality. I have to be alone very often. I'd be quite happy if I spent from Saturday night until Monday morning alone in my apartment. That's how I refuel. Audrey Hepburn. I am rarely bored alone, I am often bored in groups and crowds. Laurie Helgo. There is a tremendous difference between alone and lonely. You could be lonely in a group of people. I like being alone. I like eating by myself. I go home at night and just watch a movie or hang out with my dog. I have to exert myself and say, oh God, I've got to see my friends because I'm too content by myself. Drew Barrymore. People empty me. I have to get away to refill. C. Bukowski. I think a lot, but I don't say much. Anne Frank. You see things. You keep quiet about them and you understand. The perks of being a wallflower. Quiet people have the loudest minds. Stephen Hawking. I am a minimalist. I like saying the most with the least. Bob Newhart. To be open to creativity, one must have the capacity for constructive use of solitude. One must overcome the fear of being alone. Rollo May. Don't underestimate me because I'm quiet. I know more than I say, think more than I speak, and observe more than you know. Michaela Chung. Everyone shines, given the right lighting. Susan Cain. Let's clear one thing up, introverts do not hate small talk because we dislike people. We hate small talk because we hate the barrier it creates between people. Laurie Helgo. Silence is only frightening to people who are compulsively verbalizing. William S. Burroughs. A good rule of thumb is that any environment that consistently leaves you feeling bad about who you are is the wrong environment. Laurie Helgo. The highest form of love is to be the protector of another person's solitude. Rainer Maria Rilke. When you're an introvert like me and you've been lonely for a while, and then you find someone who understands you, you become attached to them. It's a real release. Lana Del Rey. Introvert conversations are like jazz. Each player gets to solo for a nice stretch before the other player comes in and does his solo. Laurie Helgo. I want to be alone, with someone else who wants to be alone. Dmitry Zyk. Silence is beautiful, not awkward. The human tendency to be afraid of something beautiful is awkward. Elliot Kay. Your solitude will be a support and a home for you, even in the midst of very unfamiliar circumstances, and from it, you will find all your paths. Rainer Maria Rilke. There's zero correlation between being the best talker and having the best ideas. Susan Cain. As a child, I suppose I was not quite normal. My happiest times were when I was left alone in the house on a Saturday. Charles Bukowski. Blessed are those who do not fear solitude, who are not afraid of their own company, who are not always desperately looking for something to do, something to amuse themselves with, something to judge. Paulo Coelho. I was just confused about why I was feeling overwhelmed all the time and trying to adjust to having people work for me. Surprisingly, I think if you're known on the internet, you're probably an introvert. Felicia Day. I don't have time for superficial friends. I suppose if you're lonely you can call a superficial friend, but otherwise, what's the point? Courtney Cox. I owe everything that I have done to the fact that I am very much at ease being alone. Marilyn Robinson. Introverts listen more than they talk, think before they speak, and often feel as if they express themselves better in writing than in conversation. They tend to dislike conflict. Many have a horror for small talk, but enjoy deep discussions. Susan Cain. My imagination functions much better when I don't have to speak to people. Patricia Highsmith. For introverts, to be alone with our thoughts is as restorative as sleeping, as nourishing as eating. Jonathan Rauch. Beware of those who seek constant crowds, they are nothing alone. Charles Bukowski. A happy life must be to a great extent a quiet life, for it is only in an atmosphere of quiet that true joy dares live. Bertrand Russell. Don't think of introversion as something that needs to be cured. Spend your free time the way you like, not the way you think you're supposed to. Susan Cain. When I am alone, I can become invisible. I can sit on the top of a dune as motionless as an uprise of weeds until the foxes run by unconcerned. I can hear the almost unhearable sound of the roses singing. Mary Oliver. Most people in politics draw energy from backslapping and shaking hands and all that. I draw energy from discussing ideas. Al Gore. Solitude matters, and for some people, it's the air they breathe. Susan Cain. I don't believe anything revolutionary has ever been invented by committee. I'm going to give you some advice that might be hard to take. That advice is, work alone. Not on a committee. Not on a team. Steve Wozniak. Wise men, when in doubt about whether to speak or to keep quiet, give themselves the benefit of the doubt, and remain silent. Napoleon Hill. Solitude has its own very strange beauty to it. Liv Tyler. I was never less alone than when by myself. Edward Gibbon. You do not need to leave your room. Remain sitting at your table and listen. Do not even listen, simply wait, be quiet, still, and solitary. The world will freely offer itself to you to be unmasked, it has no choice, and it will roll in ecstasy at your feet. Franz Kafka. Wise men speak because they have something to say, fools because they have to say something. Plato. As an introvert, you can be your own best friend or your worst enemy. The good news is we generally like our own company, a quality that extroverts often envy. We find comfort in solitude and know how to soothe ourselves. Laurie Helgo. Introverts dislike small talk, but we are fluent in the language of ideas and dreams. Michaela Chung. You may think I'm small, but I have a universe inside my mind. Yoko Ono. Love is essential, gregariousness is optional. Susan Cain. In an extroverted society, the difference between an introvert and an extrovert is that an introvert is often unconsciously deemed guilty until proven innocent. Chris Jamie. Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams, who looks inside, awakes. C.G. Jung. Better to keep quiet and let people think you're an idiot than speak up and confirm it. Rodney Dangerfield. I restore myself when I'm alone. Marilyn Monroe. People say things to me like, it's cool that you don't go out and get drunk all the time and go to clubs. I appreciate that, but I'm kind of an introverted kind of person just by nature. Emma Watson. I think I'm a weird combination of deeply introverted and very daring. I can feel both those things working. Helen Hunt. I like to stay in my nest and not move. I travel in my mind, and that's a rigorous state of journeying for me. My body isn't that interested in moving from place to place. Bell hooks. I would rather sit on a pumpkin and have it all to myself than be crowded on a velvet cushion. Henry David Thoreau. Introverts, in contrast, may have strong social skills and enjoy parties and business meetings, but after a while wish they were home in their pajamas. They prefer to devote their social energies to close friends, colleagues, and family. Susan Cain. I don't hate people, I just feel better when they aren't around. Charles Bukowski. I don't want to be alone. I want to be left alone. Audrey Hepburn. Introverts are capable of acting like extroverts for the sake of work they consider important, people they love, or anything they value highly. Susan Cain. Introverts live in two worlds. We visit the world of people, but solitude and the inner world will always be our home. Jen Granneman. Solitude is painful when one is young, but delightful when one is more mature. Albert Einstein. You do not need to leave your room. Remain sitting at your table and listen. Do not even listen, simply wait, be quiet, still, and solitary. The world will freely offer itself to you to be unmasked, it has no choice, it will roll in ecstasy at your feet. Franz Kafka. In order to be open to creativity, one must have the capacity for constructive use of solitude. One must overcome the fear of being alone. Rollo May. I'm an introvert. I love being by myself, love being outdoors, love taking a long walk with my dogs and looking at the trees, flowers, and the sky. Audrey Hepburn. Understand that half the game is keeping quiet, and carefully watching those around you. Robert Greene. Without great solitude no serious work is possible. Pablo Picasso. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned with me for some more inspirational quotes on introvert personality.